Marci, Rossi, welcome to the Star Coach Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you. I'm excited about this topic. So we are going to talk about sort of getting some of the stories that we consistently hear either out of our brains or decide if it works for us or not. So what Marcy and I are going to talk about is how can you build your list without a lead magnet? How do you build followers, build, people who are interested in what you do without necessarily a download or a freebie giveaway, which is often what we hear is the place to start. So I'm super excited to talk about that. We're going to lean more into that in just a minute. I want to just start by thanking you for being here and being a Star Coach listener. Every Wednesday, we have a brand new show that comes out with incredible guests like Marcy or my solo episode. That, by the way, you can join me for the live taping of every month, the third Thursday of the month. So look that up at thestarcoachshow.com. When we do things like podcasts, we do them to bring value to you, the listener. So I like to hear, like, is what we're doing working for you? What else would you like to experience? Never hesitate to let me know, either by leaving comments below the video if you're watching us on YouTube, or through the show notes and through the information at starcoachshow.com. Wherever you listen, take a minute to follow us so that we know that you're listening and we can kind of track what's happening. And also, just it's kind of like waving hi to me. And I like you waving hi to me, and I'll wave hi right back to you. So, with that, let's lean into this concept of how to build your list, because we know that having people who are engaged with us, who like what we're doing, when we have their information, we're able to keep in touch with them. We're able to offer them value. We're able to let them know when we've got an offer coming up. So, Marcy, we know that it's super important to do that. And the reason why I wanted Marcy to be the one to talk to us about this is that she's a business strategist who helps new and growing coaches build businesses that you actually want to run. Like, stop right, like that we actually want to run, one that's strategic, that's streamlined, and really set up for growth, because we don't want to become stagnant. We don't want to be constantly in that feast or famine sort of struggle. And Marcy brings her background in law and corporate to cut through the noise, to cut the BS out, right? And just like, let's simplify our decisions, let's create smart workflows. And part of that is in like deciding how are we attracting people to us. As the creator of the Shortcut, which is a 12-week done for you setup and coaching program that helps you go from overwhelmed to clear and confident, who better than to bring Marcy forward for us to talk to? So, plus, Marcy is also a Friends fan, like I am. I love watching Friends reruns. It was just such a feel good show and such a chuckle. So, we had to, we have to have that kind of in common as well. So, Marcy, so many things we could talk about, which is why we do our exploratory calls and we zero in on what's the thing that we're going to talk about. And I think that many times we and I know that I'm guilty of this at times, get caught on a particular path to a particular destination.
Mhm.
And, like we know as coaches, when we stay curious and open and flexible, there are many paths to that destination. Often our client will take a different path than we would have initially thought, but it's like the perfect path for them.
Mhm.
So, in that, when we think about this concept of how do I engage people who are interested in what I do, but do it in a way that's authentic and genuine to me, and maybe doesn't involve a download. Like, seriously, maybe doesn't involve a download. Where do we want to start with that?
Well, first, I think we can actually kind of pull back and say, you're talking about getting engagement, and I really want to emphasize the importance of an email list for your engagement. So a lot of people stress about having a lot of followers or, engagement means likes or comments, but you don't own your social media, right? It might be your name, it might be your handle, but tomorrow Mark Zuckerberg could decide he wants to shut Facebook down and they are gone. Or your account could get hacked and everything just disappears. But your email list, you can, if you're using MailChimp, MailerLite, whatever, you can download it. It's yours. It's in your Excel file. You can take it with you no matter where you go. So, really recognizing that an email list is so important to have. Another thing is, you're posting on social media, maybe only 2% of people see it. But when you're emailing, you have the same chance as like the biggest names in the world, right? Everybody's email kind of comes in at the same level. So I think an email list just in general is so important. And then to build on what you were saying about picking your own path, I think I'm not here to discourage anybody from building that beautiful PDF in Canva. They still work on me. I have my own PDFs that I use, but I think this strategy is a little bit outdated at this point. It's what we're told to do is just make a PDF of 5 things to do this or a checklist for that. And with the rise of AI, it's been so helpful to make those PDFs in minutes, but at the same time, it's makes it easy to make those PDFs in 10 minutes. So now everybody has a download that
Right.
you can have. It doesn't really distinguish you in the market. So I really set out to find different ways that provide more value that doesn't just land in someone's downloads folder and then we don't really build on that relationship anymore.
And
So
I
yeah, I
think
have
it's
a whole yeah.
important. Yeah, so we're going to dive into that, but there's a couple of things I want people to be aware of. People are more and more protective of their information. They're not going to just give their email because there's a list of X, Y, and Z, unless it's something that really resonates with them. And they're like, yes, it's worth it to me to give you my name and information to be able to get this. So to Marci's point, if you're just sort of creating something that really doesn't even represent you anyway through AI, and it's just something that anybody could put, what's the top 10 leadership traits and whatever. It's so there's that. I want, as we talk today, I want all of you to be thinking about what is authentically me, what is my like, because you're more than AI. AI is out there and it's a beautiful tool and it certainly helps us do lots of things. And it's not so that now we just all become sort of generic. You still have your special spice, your special sauce to put into whatever you do. And I'm sure Marci's going to be kind of talking about that, but this concept of people are not just super eager to give away their information, and yet we know we want to have a list because that's the way we engage with our people. So emphasizing that. Now, Marci, where do we go next?
Yeah, I mean, just to literally kind of build on that there, that's recognizing that someone's email is valuable to them, right? Like you said, this is their personal information and honoring that value by offering something valuable in exchange, right? Like you said, that if someone can find the 10 best leadership qualities on Google, it's not enough anymore. That's what I tell my clients. If they can Google it or if they can ask ChatGPT for that, it's not enough. How do we make it enough? Well, part of it is you were saying being authentic, right? Telling our own stories, our own experiences, being a human, bringing that human element into it. And just adding to that too, I see a lot of people using AI and the authenticity is completely missing. It's just copy paste and you can tell AI text, even when you're really good at prompting, still has that bit of like my husband calls it
You got to
flowery
make it your own.
language. It's a little
Yes,
it's a little
yes.
off, right? So it's got to be you. That's what we're really selling, especially in coaching. We're selling this person's experience because a lot of people coach, but they have their own authenticity, their own flavor,
Right.
their own secret sauce. So really bringing that out, I think no matter how you build your list is very important.
So, if we're not necessarily doing a PDF or a download, what are some ideas? What are things for people to think about in how do I do that exchange then?
Yeah.
What because ultimately you're not saying we don't want email addresses. You're saying there's many ways to get them.
Absolutely. I actually have a ton of ways, and I was thinking about this, after we had our conversation about what we were going to talk about, and I thought, how can I make this easy to comprehend instead of just throwing a bunch of ideas? So I came up with the acronym MAGNET, right? We're talking about lead
Oh, love
magnets.
it.
So this is the acronym MAGNET. And the order is really just about, making that acronym work. But all of these can be really important. But number one is my favorite, and that is micro offers. So normally we think of building an email list by giving someone something free, but I think there's something to be said about selling something. Now, that selling something could be an ebook or a chapter of your book. It could be a course. It could be, a template or a tool or an assessment, something that you've built, and you're adding that exchange of value there. And by doing so, you're attracting people that are already willing to invest. Now, it may not be a huge investment. It may be a $7 ebook or something, but they've already taken that step and shown that they are willing to invest in themselves, willing to invest in their growth. And they're more likely to use the thing. Sometimes we create these beautiful, powerful lead magnets and people just download them for free and then they don't even open the email to get it, right? So
Right.
when they put their credit card down, even if it's just $7, they're more likely to actually do the thing. And so that's my first one, micro offers for M.
And one other thing I love, M micro offers. The other thing is the perceived value. If I'm even paying $5 or $7 or $19 for something, I'm going to think, what a value. I'm like paying $7 for this, but I'm also saying this is this is more valuable than a free.
Yeah.
Like for all my years of working with people, I know sometimes people, like if you're being kind and giving somebody a pro bono something, the value in that is not necessarily always perceived. So the same kind of thing, if I can get free downloads everywhere, but this person is offering something of value, but it's almost like they see more value in it, so I see more value in it. Just
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
love magnet. Okay, so we've got our M micro offers. What's the A?
A is access. So we're thinking kind of like behind the gate here. So maybe this is early access to your new group program or your new offer, whatever that is. Maybe you only give particular content just to your email list. Maybe you're on social media, you're on LinkedIn, you're presenting your ideas that way. But maybe you save the really juicy stuff for your email list. Like really think about that access, that special treatment there, that kind of VIP treatment for access.
Love that. So let's talk a little bit more about access and how you might weave that in to posts or different things to let people know if you join my newsletter, if you join my email list or whatever, I give special, I mean, you've got to kind of let people know that can't be a secret or nobody's going to like see the value of that. So how would you recommend people seed that or let that secret out?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way is just having a place to sign up for your newsletter just at the bottom of your homepage. And you'd be surprised how often that actually works. Mine straight up says that I talk about my favorite tools and tech and systems, and they get to learn basically what I'm building. And that's a little bit of an interest to say, I want to learn
Yes.
more. Or maybe your
Mhm.
website, there's something there, they're not ready to commit. It gives them opportunity to say, I wonder what else she's doing. I wonder what else he's up to, right? Another tool is really that wait list. If you're creating a new program, like a beta program, launching a new program, whatever, and teasing it with a little of, if you sign up for the wait list, you'll get a surprise. I have something special for you. You don't have to say like, you'll get $50 off or whatever it is, just
Right.
a little bit of
Just
intrigue,
people who
curiosity.
are on
Like,
the wait list are
yeah,
going to get rewarded in some
yes,
way.
absolutely. And who doesn't want a reward, right? Like I might sign up just because I'm curious what that reward is. What's that special surprise, right? So that's another way to really build it is to tease out that value and honoring people that took that step to join your email list. Again, it's that value exchange there. So
Love it. So M micro offer, A access. Next.
okay, this is also my favorite, but it was my horror word growing up, and that's group projects. I don't know about you, but I hated group projects in school. I was the one that I want to get it done, and you always got that slacker that doesn't hold their weight. But group projects can be so important in business. And what I'm talking about here are things like bundles, summits, conferences, stuff where people are bringing in their audiences together, and you're getting to leverage even guesting on podcasts, right? You're
Yeah.
leveraging other people's audiences. So I don't know if you're familiar with bundles, but essentially you're contributing something. Maybe it's that PDF that you already made. You're telling your audience about it. other people in that bundle are telling their audience about it, and hopefully their audience is intrigued by your product and joins your list that way. So really leveraging that power of your network, can be really, really powerful in growing that audience. And especially if it's a very targeted bundle or
Mhm.
summit, really your people are right there. I mean, that's so much easier than shouting into the void of social media.
It's just that it's that power of number, right? So Marcy's got her following that know, like, and trust her. And then Meg and Marcy are at the same summit, and Meg's audience who know, likes, and trust her is there. And they're like, well, if Meg's hanging out with Marcy and Marcy's hanging out with Meg, then, and it's all under this umbrella of something that we trust, then maybe we're not just coming and listening to Marcy's part of it and seeing what Marcy's offering, but we're also listening to what, Fred is offering and Meg is offering. And then, so it becomes a multiplier and a multiplier of trust, because if I trust Marcy and Marcy's in this, then it must be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm such a nerd. I was like, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C, right? It's not borrowing that trust. And trust is the foundation of investment, right? That's what we're trying to do. When we give someone a lead magnet, we're trying to get them to trust us. We're trying to get them to show them that
Mhm.
I have a solution for you. There's some value in working with me or, taking advantage of my offers. And people aren't going to do that if they don't trust you. So if you can borrow someone else's trust, I mean, that's a hack. That is a shortcut for sure.
Well, and I want to lean into also that concept of podcast guesting, right?
Yeah.
So I do trainings for how to be an irresistible podcast guest. I actually have a lead magnet for that if anybody's interested. But the point of that being, if I'm on somebody else's podcast, they trust me enough to put me in front of their audience. And the same, I vet anybody that I'm going to put on this show, and it's kind of rigorous. I mean, I really only want the best in front of my audience. So Marcy now has your audience, your trust, if you're a regular listener of the Star Coach show. Marcy is getting that through being on the show. Just think about that when you are thinking about, where can I speak? Where can I add value through what I'm offering through the spoken word? If that is on somebody else's platform, then we're doing the whole group project thing, which is building your reach through somebody else's audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, where do we go with the N?
N is nurture. So nurturing content. And this plays off very well with your podcast rich there, because honestly, there are people that I have subscribed to just because their emails are so good. I've had people forward me emails that are just really good. And I'm like, man, I wonder what else this person has to say. Like just putting the best of you out there, not just writing an email to write an email or checking off your blog post for the week, but really putting the best of you out there makes people want more from you, right? You have this fantastic podcast and people don't want to miss it. So, maybe in the podcast there, it's a little harder for email, but if they want to be updated on shows, or they want to join even more from you. They want to join your community because there's so much value that you're giving with this really deep, nurturing content. It's just giving the best of you so that people want even more.
And you know what? I think that there's, and this isn't a part of Magnet, this letter doesn't come in there, but let's talk about it anyway, which is consistency. So
Mm.
like if you're gonna really, now consistency for you might be once a month. That might be consistently what you can do. Um, but my thought, Marcy, is whatever we're gonna do, if we just do it one and done, it's not going to create the kind of nurturing value that you're talking about. People need to hear from you again, consistently, with your flavor consistently. So once again, what are you putting in that is authentically you versus because they want to get to know your voice, your special sauce.
Yeah,
So I'm going to
absolutely.
throw that back to you now that I've just sort of brought that up a little bit. But what do you think about C, which is not in Magnet?
Well, I have to revise this now because I also want to add F, which is focus. So I'm giving you, Magnet, a bunch of different things to do. And I 1,000% say that you should be consistent, whatever consistency looks like for you, because if you do any of these things one time, it's not going to get you where you're wanting to go. It is the act of doing it over and over that gets your results. But I am not suggesting that today you go create a micro offer and create exclusive content and start pitching to bundles and summits. And, like we have to pick one thing. If you can give 100% to one or two things, you're going to grow so much faster than giving 10% of you to 10 different things. It's a way slow way to grow. We're really focused in being consistent on something. That's where the true results lie.
I think that is so good. And I can give a personal example that, um, my community is super important to me. And I believe that that brings like an incredible value to my members for a really low price. But then I like get distracted into, oh, and I need to build this and I need to build this. And I keep my membership going and continue to bring value to that. But just like a month ago, I said, wait a minute. Like if I really want to put my emphasis on my membership, then I need to let go of some of these other plates that are spinning that are pulling my energy away from this incredible robust community. So, and it's sort of like I'm getting too old to do 80, 100 different things, right? And it's just, it doesn't serve everybody as well as I'd like, including myself. So, we all learn, ladies and gentlemen. I've been doing this a long time, and I still sometimes am like, what were you thinking? Get with the program. Come on, Meg, you know better.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of noise in the business atmosphere, right? A lot of coaches come not necessarily because they have the business expertise, they want to coach. And then you end up finding out later that really you're about 51% coach and 49% marketer. It's really that selling that's going to allow you to even coach in the first
Right.
place. And out there, when you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I be a marketer? You've got people saying, you should do a webinar, you should have a membership, you should have a podcast, you should have a blog. And there's a lot of shoulds. And you're like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? And it's taking that step back and honoring what do I really want? What really lights me up? And what resonates with my style, right? If you hate speaking, maybe don't start a podcast, no matter how well people are going to
Exactly.
say that it's right. And if you love talking, if you love speaking with people, that might be the perfect venue for you. So honoring your skills, your interests, and even your own intuition of this is what's going to be best for me and where I should give that consistent, focused attention.
I love that point. It actually brought up a point. I just did a coaching session with a coach like a couple of weeks ago. She leaned into something that she's been wanting to do. She is going to be at a national conference, and it's the first time she's done it. What absolutely paralyzed her, Marci, to your point, is then all those voices started going in her head. If you're going to be a speaker at this conference, you have to have a text code, you have to have a QR code, you have to give this away, you have to have this, it was all the noise that, and what that was doing was stopping her from feeling confident, stopping her from doing the thing that she wanted to do, which was be 100% for those people and bring value. And yeah, she wants to be able to use that as a way to connect. But ultimately, what we came to was her goal was to give value and make it as easy as possible for people to follow up with her if that was what they wanted to do. Once she got centered into what was most important to her, then we go to Magnet and say, of that, what's the piece that just feels authentic and genuine and will allow you to have people who want to follow you so that you can give them value?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was because, and that chatter, it's just, when you brought that, it was like all that, but I have to do this, but I have to do this. And I said to her, well, you know what, but everybody says I should do these things. Well, when we get should on, we usually stop in our tracks.
Yeah.
So, all these are so important. And yes, we can't not do anything. People aren't, but we've got to do what makes sense to us. And that's why I love your magnet. And where are we going next with our magnet?
So it's a little bit more traditional, and that's the webinars or challenges. It's events. It is hosting some kind of thing that you're doing, right? It could be a workshop. Like I said, it can be a live challenge. It can be really anything where you're pulling people in for a specified period of time. And so that adds a bit of urgency to it, right? If I'm hosting a workshop next week and it's just next week, I might be able to sell the replay and maybe you join me there, but there's that act of like, oh, I don't want to miss this. So I need to act now. Right. For some of these other ones, I can buy that micro offer anytime, or I can, subscribe to their blog anytime. But having an event, something that has a timestamp on it, gets them to say, okay, now is the time for me to subscribe to this, join, whatever.
And to increase that urgency, you might very well make it extra special for people who are joining live, get something special, or there's not going to be a replay of this. This is a live event only. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to each of that. But ultimately, if you're trying to create urgency, let people know that there's something worth coming live for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, that can be through anything. It can be from really showing up there in the moment. Like you said, there's a trade-off for that of people that can't make it, right? We've got different
Mhm.
time zones and people are balancing different priorities, but that really gets people that are most committed to that event, right? They
Right.
are not going to miss it. They're going to prioritize it. So,
And I don't know how many live events you've been to, Marcy, that the people who are there live get some kind of a special offer that the replay people won't get.
yeah.
They just, when they release the replay, they just take that section out. So it's not like I'm listening to the replay and I have this, oh, if I had been there, I would have gotten this, because that's not a feeling you want people to have that are listening to the replay. And yet you just seed in, if you're here at the end, of our time. I have something special for those of you who are still here. You give the offer to the people that are there, and that doesn't mean that the people who are doing the replay don't get great things too. They just don't get that great thing.
Yeah, that's the additional value, right? Like the
Yeah,
thing itself should have value. If what you're selling afterwards of the replay is
absolutely.
not enough, it's not enough for them to take action or have a win. There's not really true value in that. It's just a piece of the puzzle. But if you add more pieces on top, for the as a
Hmm.
bonus, that's just going above and beyond for those people that were really committed and could show up for it. So,
Right.
yeah.
Uh, uh, I don't know if you're familiar with Lisa Sasevich, but she's sort of the queen of sales conversion. But anyway, one of the things that she'll say is this offer is 100% worth what it is and then some. And this bonus just makes it that much more. So it's not like the offer is, you've got to make whatever you are offering well worth the investment. That's part of building your know, like, trust factor.
Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise, it's not really a true bonus. If it needs to be that core component, it's not actually a bonus. So let's make sure we have a solid core, and then anything you throw on top of there is just kind of that cherry on top bonus. Sweeten the deal.
Absolutely. Love it. So let's go, before we get to T, let's
Sure.
run through your MAG. So M is micro offers.
Yes. So we have micro offers, access to exclusives, group projects, nurturing content, events, and now we have T, which is it's kind of the roundup of templates, tools, and tests. It's the things. So if events are the activities, like an actual event, then the T is the more tangible things, right? So maybe you have a template that you use that really helps, with goal setting, or maybe you have a specific calculator that really helps with X, Y, Z. One of the ones I really love in here is test. And I don't mean necessarily like SAT tests, but quizzes, really. Q
Oh,
does not fit
people
in my
love
magnet, just like
quizzes.
CNF, but quizzes are
Yes,
fantastic, right? It's a little bit more interesting than just reading a PDF. And they're already getting insight about themselves, and it is market research for you, right? When people are taking these quizzes and everybody is choosing the same answer, you're able to say, this is a real need in my community, right? This is something that would really benefit the majority of people that are attracting to me. So it's win-win there with a quiz. They get deeper insight into who they are or at some aspect of their personality, or maybe it's just they had fun. It's just engaging. Which friend's character are you, right? And you get the benefit of one, a name on your email list, but two, a deeper understanding of your community, which is just invaluable.
so invaluable. So in that, you might take this quiz and figure out what kind of which of the magnets works best for you. Which of
Yeah.
these take this quiz and determine what skin tone you are. But then before you get that, not that we would do skin tone, but I just like was doing something earlier and they were like, take this quiz before you buy whatever this makeup was.
Mhm.
But in that, before you get your results, you actually have to input your data to get the result. Well, if you've already had somebody take the quiz and they want to know what it, then they're going to give you their, and then I think the other thing that we haven't talked about, but and maybe was on your agenda, was what we do to respect the names that people give us. Like if people are going to give us their names and addresses, we honor that with like you said, giving valuable content. We honor that with not selling their information to somebody else. We honor that by not flooding like one ask email after another every day. But what are we doing to provide value as well as let them know that when we've got something coming up. So that's part of that nurture, I think, like we nurture appropriately versus like we never want to abuse the trust that somebody's put in us when they give us their name and email.
Yeah, and it can also get us into legal trouble if we don't, right? Like one is just
Right.
being a good human and a business person. Another is also just not risking that business that you're building. So it's a little beyond the scope of this. And I am a lawyer, but this is not legal advice. But just recognizing that there are different rules for privacy measures, making that very clear that if you are collecting emails in any form, that you have a privacy policy that acknowledges what it is that you're doing, that we're not selling these email addresses or abusing the information that people are giving us. So, I mean, if you have questions, I would encourage you to look it up because it really depends on where your people, it's not really necessarily where you are, but where your people are coming from, right?
Yes.
Like if you
Yes.
promote anywhere, if people from the EU can find your website, they have very strict regulations. California has very strict regulations. And it's hard to say no one from California can come to my website or can download my lead
Right.
magnet or join my webinar, right? So making sure that you're protected and that you're, like you said, honoring the fact that this is a personal part of them. You're coming in their inbox, right, with whatever it is that you're doing. Now, I will say, I think there is, you talked about value, and in terms of like how we email people, I think some people, my bigger picture of having this email list, it's useless if you don't actually email that email list, right?
Yeah,
It's
you've
not
got
a
to
savings
nurture it.
account.
Yeah.
You know,
Right,
it's
right.
it's not just going to grow in value just because you hold on to it longer. You have to actually nurture them. But as long as you're providing some kind of value, I don't really have a problem with selling an email or goodness forbid,
No.
sending more than one email a week. Like really, people won't unsubscribe if what you're providing is valuable, whether that's education, whether that's entertainment, whether you're just connecting as a human and sharing a human story. Like there are people that email me 3 to 4 times a week and I stay on it because I get something from each one of those emails. It's not just a buy
Right.
my offer, buy my offer, buy my offer type of thing. There's
That's what I meant.
there's
Exactly.
quality in it. Yeah.
So you want to get to like let people get to know who you are. Share a funny, share a poignant moment. Share, like, let people know who you are so that when they see, it's like, oh, what's Marci offering today? I know people who email their list every single day. And when they don't email, their list says to people on their list say, what happened to your email today? Because they look forward to it. Because now that's not me. I know I couldn't email every single, it's just not, I could, I suppose, if I did, but that's once again, go back to authentic. Does that authentically fit in with who I am and what I want to do? No, but it fits very well for the people that do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So good. And be aware that that really does. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I know of people who have been fined, who have had to, who have lost rights to do particular things because they don't follow the guide. There are guidelines, there are laws, there are things that we have to respect. It's just part of being a business owner. So like Marci said, look it up, be aware of it. Um, because it's just part of the doing business.
And it's not to scare you. There are some crazy stories or fines available out there, but I will say that if you use an email service provider, Mailchimp, MailerLite, Kajabi, anything, ActiveCampaign, any of those products, they set up some fail safes for you, right? Like
Right.
MailerLite won't let you delete the unsubscribe button. It has to be there on your emails. You can't take it off, right? You can't remove your
Mhm.
address. Having a physical mailing address, not just like Texas. It has to have an address there. That's required by law so that you don't get in trouble, right? So they set up some fail safes. It's not
Right.
crazy requirements that we
Yeah,
have to comply
we're
with,
not in the
but
wild, wild west here.
yeah, it's just honoring, what it is that we have to do. And if people don't want to hear from you, letting them go with love, right? And we're not here to try to convince people to like us. We're here to serve the people that are already paying attention to us.
So with that, we started our conversation today saying there are many roads to the goal of having an engaged, informed, nurtured email list, because when you have that list and those people that are engaging with you, engaging with the content that you have, they're eager to see what's the next thing that you're going to offer. I, I've been following you for a while. I'd like to actually work with you. I'd like to, I'm so familiar with Marci and through her emails that when my friend says, "Who do you know that's a great business coach for coaches?" Oh, do you know Marci Rossi? Marci Rossi does all this great stuff. That's part of what that's how we get our name out there. That's how we let people know, because we can't be a secret and be a success at the same time. It's just counterintuitive. So as we're wrapping up our talk about magnet, love it. Once again, let's go through the M through T.
Okay. So M is micro offers, right? Something small that we're selling, getting that initial investment. A is access, access to some behind the scenes content, some juicy stuff that only your newsletter gets. G is group project. So that's pitching to bundles or summits or collaborating with other people and, doing a freebie swap. There's a lot of different ways that you're borrowing, being on podcast, a lot of ways that you're borrowing people's audience. N is nurturing. So this is free content, but it's so good. People want more of it, right? Your blogs are so good, they don't want to miss it. Your podcast episodes are so good, they don't want to miss the next one, right? E is events. These are a little bit more traditional, but a webinar, a workshop, a challenge, something with a time frame that really increases that urgency that now is the time to sign up for it. And T are the things, the templates, tools, tests, or quizzes in this area, but really just a thing that you're essentially giving them in exchange for their email address.
Marci, as we wrap up this really helpful talk that I hope has expanded everybody's lens and given everybody permission to say, which of those fits for me? Where could I start versus I have to start with the whole magnet? No, that's why she broke it down into pieces. You can pick the thing that works best for you. What do you want to be sure people are thinking about as we wrap up our time, what they're walking away with?
I think there's a couple, there's two things. The first is a very quick AI can help you with any of these things, but as we've kind of gone through over and over, it is you that needs to come through. It's your authenticity. It's leaning into what resonates with your personality, beliefs, traits, etc. So using it as a tool, but not the thing that really gets one of these things out there. And the other is just honoring that we can only serve when we actually put ourselves out there. It requires being visible. It requires being consistent and focused. We may not love the business aspect of things. I mean, I personally do, but I know a lot of coaches that are just like, I just want to make an impact. I just want to coach. I just want to help people. But you can't help people if you're, like I said, the world's best secret. So finding a way to get your voice out there, getting a little bit uncomfortable, because in the discomfort is where that transformation happens. So I would say lean in, pick one, be consistent with it, and I'm sure that you'll start to see the growth that you deserve, honestly.
How can people learn more about you and the work you do?
Well, I my website is my name, so it's marcirossi.com. I have everything there, my resources, offers. Anyway, if you want to chat with me, that's where you're going to find me.
Love it. We also have links to connect with Marci below the video if you're watching us on YouTube and in the show notes for this episode. Marci Rossi, what a joy to have you on the show.
Thanks, Meg. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And as we are closing out today, I just want to once again remind you to take a minute to subscribe wherever you're listening so that you never miss a minute of the content that incredible guests like Marci bring. And when I put out new tips, new strategies, like it's beyond the show, ladies and gentlemen. There are things coming out all the time. And how are you going to know about those if you're not subscribed and you don't get Bing, Tuesday Tips just came out, or a bonus episode just came out. So you need to be able to get that. And I want you to have that so that it helps you grow and thrive as a coach and as a leader. As we're closing out, once again, I just want to let everybody know that we're here on the planet together for a reason. We are different. We have different perspectives. We have different things that we value, and yet we're all connected. So if we can respect the fact that we're all connected, that we might view things differently, but nothing great comes from hate. So let's do heavy lifting together. Let's get curious about one another, and be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Until next week, this is Meg Rentschler wishing you the very best for your success. And once again, a great big thank you to Marci Rossi.
Thanks, Mike.